Hi, and welcome to another edition of Hot Mics. This is your girl, SXE. I'm in the studio by myself. Blayze is still out on tour, and he will be returning to the show soon. This commentary today will be about a video of a man who was shot 46 times by police officers in broad daylight in a public place in Saginaw, Michigan. Now, the actual shooting, the incident actually occurred back in July of 2012, but just yesterday, Tuesday, May the 20th, 2014, the U.S. Justice Department announced that it will not pursue federal criminal civil rights charges against the Michigan police officers that shot this man. There were 6 of them. I'm going to show you a video in just a little bit. The video is very graphic. It was an amateur video recorded on someone's cell phones. Now, you'll hear us speak sometimes about or ask whether or not all of these cell phone videos are a violation of privacy, or whether they have opened up a new world of justice or possible justice, because it seems these days people catch everything on their cell phones. In fact, I myself even posted a little cartoon of a person drowning. It's going around Facebook. It's this person drowning, and you see this little caption that says, "Help me." And there's probably about a dozen people standing on the shore with their cell phones recording the drowning. It's a little humorous, but then again, it really is a controversial subject. But thank goodness for this video, because this was a person who watched the whole thing. Now, the man, his name was Hall, Milton Hall. He was 49 years old. He was standing with a knife, and you hear the police yelling in the background, "Put the knife down," and him saying, "I'm not putting the knife down. Go ahead and release the MF dog. I don't care." He says, "I called 911 and I'm pissed off." Now, it's something when you perceive yourself to be a victim, call 911, the police officers show up, and you end up shot 46 times and killed. Like a modern day firing squad. This firing squad was just dressed in police officers' uniforms. But how in the world do you justify taking a gun to a knife fight? Which I'm sure some of you have heard that before. It's amazing.
Captured the confrontation between
So
6
watch the
Saginaw
video
police
clip
officers and Milton
and
Hall,
weigh in with
a
your
49-year-old
opinions.
man who his family says suffered from serious mental health issues. Hall, seen in the middle of your screen, police say, had just had a run-in with a convenience store clerk. He was in a standoff with police and holding some sort of knife. A female officer is heard shouting. If you listen carefully, Hall is then heard continuing to yell at police. Hall seems agitated, but not intimidated by a police dog. Heard on the tape, a witness describes what he sees.
In the karate stands, about to go ham on them.
Then, as Hall appears to take a few steps, everything comes to a head. Local media report 46 shots were fired. CNN counted the sounds of at least 30 shots on the videotape. Anthony Barber witnessed the shooting.
All of a sudden, pow, 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 pow. And he drops. You know, pow, 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 pow. And he drops.
Wow, right? Just wow. Watching the police officers open fire like that is amazing in and of itself. but upon further research, I found that Hall was only hit 11 times out of those 46 shots. They said that hail or burst of bullets lasted 5 seconds. That's amazing. It just seems to me to be a little overkill. Now, we do notice that Hall stepped to his left. To me, initially, I was thinking he's walking away from them. How much of a threat is he if he's walking away from the police officers? But apparently that was just 5 of the officers. There was a 6th officer to his left. It says that that officer had stepped there a little earlier. So we can assume that the other officers may have believed that Hall was stepping towards that officer. Hall has a violent history. He did have a history of mental problems, and they were saying that he's had confrontations with the police before, and he's described as being assaultive. Now, the family has filed a wrongful death lawsuit as of last year, 2013, against the police department.
For the past year and a half, Milton Hall's mother, Jewel, has been working in Albuquerque, New Mexico against police brutality. When her daughter told her Milton was shot dead, she couldn't believe her work came home and became her life. Tears filled the pews this morning at the Seventh-day Adventist Church as they welcomed home Milton Hall's mother.
I hope you'll bear with me. This is one of the most difficult times in my life.
Hall's mother taught for 23 years. She spent many days studying and teaching about history and what's right and wrong.
I have never in my life in this country ever heard of such a gruesome killing of a human being in the United States.
Milton's uncle, sister, cousins, and godmother were also in attendance supporting his mother.
The execution of my son by a firing squad dressed as 6 Saginaw police officers, firing 46 shots, was barbaric.
Yes.
Extremely cruel.
Yes.
Ancient 12th century behavior.
Yes.
Although the Saginaw prosecutor's office is not filing criminal charges against the 6 officers, Hall's mother says she's still working with the Justice Department, but justice isn't the hardest part.
I guess coming back and knowing my child's not here.
On Monday, Congressman John Conyers is hosting an open public forum where Jewel Hall will be in attendance. They're asking any witnesses of the crime to please step forward or contact their attorney, Deborah Free, as the community continues to seek justice for the death of Milton Hall.
After seeing something like that, who can't help but be touched? I do believe we need very often police protection, but at what point does it stop being protection and become this?
Continuing coverage of the Milton Hall case. Members of the Saginaw community are coming together at the Riverview Plaza where homeless man Milton Hall was shot by police on July 1st of this year. Police say Hall was acting aggressively with a knife. NBC 25's Josh Marshall joins us now and tells us how community members are peacefully waiting for justice. Josh?
Brittany, hundreds gathered together with church leadership to reinforce that their message to city officials and the Saginaw Police Department is peaceful and it's not an issue of race, but right and wrong. Church and city officials, including city manager Darnell Early, are gathering once again to show their unity, but this time on a much larger scale.
This is one city, one church, one community day. This is all the churches from different denominations coming together for the first time in history in Saginaw.
Members of the crowd remember Milton Hall and are sending a clear message.
People in Saginaw knew him, you know, and for them to do what they did to him was just wrong. It was just wrong. And I'm here to say to our political officials here in Saginaw, we need to do something. They need to get on the ball and do something and do it now.
It's been 2 months since Hall's death, and Pastor Robert Davis is proud of the city's patience and peaceful demonstration.
We can stand together. We can have peace together. We're not going to be tearing up our own city. We love our city. We can come together and love each other. So I'm very proud to be here in Saginaw.
The city is still mourning the loss and stresses the importance of gatherings to raise awareness not only in Saginaw, but the nation.
To this crowd that's out here, the city of Saginaw, to the nation, it's very important. And I'm just speechless. It's a hurting thing. It's a hurting thing for Saginaw today.
Pastor Davis says they are happy to hear the prosecutors are still investigating the case and people are being subpoenaed. He also added they aren't mad, they just want answers. Brittany?
All right, thanks so much, John.
I know that right now there has been declared a state of martial law in other countries overseas. Just recently I got the news about that, and I was thinking about what would happen if something like that happens here in the United States. There's a lot going on that we never get to hear and see. But for the things that we do get to hear and see, situations like this, something needs to be done. Something definitely needs to be done. It's just getting out of hand here in the United States. Not that this is anything new. It's just now we can visibly see it because of all the cell phone and closed circuit footage that's being caught. People robbing banks and stores and in schoolhouses, killing multiple people. Now we can see it. So anything that we can see is no longer out of sight, out of mind. These types of incidences should be forefront in our consciousness, and something must be done.